Alrighty. Welcome back. Welcome back to another edition of the Conscious Briefing Podcast. My name is Jason Batt, and I will be your host for today's podcast. Yes, it is currently Friday afternoon, the 9th of August, and that is Women's Day, National Women's Day. To all the lovely ladies out there, happy Women's Day. I know it's Monday by the time you're hearing this podcast, but in all honesty, Women's Month, it's Women's Month for the whole of August. Yes, it's Women's Month. We can all agree on that. But let's get into my lineup for today. My topics, my special guest, Bonga, somebody that I know on my political group that I'm on, the ZACP. Awesome dude. We are a couple of things we're gonna talk about. We're gonna talk about economics. Why economics? I want to talk about what economics is, and then the downfall of economics, and especially with the recent events that's been happening with the National Health Insurance, the NHI, what they plan to do, and how this is going to disrupt our economy even further, even more to the ground. And then the next one is race versus IQ. Now, yes, I know it is a controversial subject matter. We're going to speak about it. Bonga, I asked him, what else would you like to speak about? And he said he wants to speak about it. So, let's speak about it. We're not going to go too much into it. We're just going to speak lightly on it. And then the last one is gun control and, gun laws, actually. I think there was something I wanted to speak about, and I think it's got to do with this Texas shooting. That young boy that went mull. Why did he go mull? So I just want to go into details there, and then just talk general on the gun laws and that. So let me get Bonga on the line, and then we'll take it from there. I shall see you in a bit.
You're listening to the Conscious Briefing Show podcast on Anchor FM.
Bonga, my man, are you there?
Yeah, I am, dog. What's up?
Lekker, my man, lekker. Welcome to the Conscious Briefing Podcast, man.
I'm glad to be here, dog.
Very lekker to have you, man. Dude, it's Women's Day, eh? So it's not really our holiday, eh?
No, it can't be a holiday.
But think about it. Although it is a holiday, I mean, us men, we all off too as well.
That's true. The pleasure of a national holiday, nah?
The pleasure of national holiday, we get to share with the women, yeah. Dude,
yeah, well, of course.
Before we get into it, let's give the listeners quickly a short little introduction. Tell the listeners out there who you are exactly.
Well, I won't divulge much, in case any hate mob comes after me. So my name is Bonga. I'm just a guy on Facebook, and I follow many podcasts, and more or less I share some of the podcast ideas, especially this one I'm on right now, and the Renegade Report. And what's the other one? Reactionary opinions or something like that.
Scott
but
Russell and Dylan. Yeah, I've had all three of them on my show already, eh?
Yeah, man.
But they're cool.
Been hustling.
Oh no, they're cool oaks, eh? They're cool oaks.
Yeah, man. I thought as much, dog.
No, lekker, man. Look, okay. What are we gonna talk about? We said we're gonna talk about economics.
Yeah, let's go ahead, man. Let's start.
Yeah, let's start, and then the other two. We'll get into it because the second one is a bit controversial, but yeah.
Stuff it anyway. Let's go, man.
All right, economics. Bear with me, eh? So there's three things I'm going to read. You cool with it, eh?
Okay, no sweat.
I like to read things because I like to put out there in context so that many of us do understand economics, but there's always that person out there that never studied economics in high school, and when I read, I'm going to explain exactly why people should actually know and understand what economics is. So yeah, economics is the social science of studying the production, distribution, and consumption of goods and services. It is a complex social science that spans from mathematics to psychology. At its most basic, however, economics considers how a society provides for its needs. Its most basic need is survival, which requires food, clothing, and shelter. Once those are covered, it can then look at more sophisticated commodities, such as services, personal transport, entertainment. The list goes on. Today, this social science known as economics tends to refer only to the type of economic thought which political economists refer to as Neoclassical Economics. It developed in the 18th century based on the idea that economics can be analyzed mathematically and scientifically. A generally accepted notion of value is the worth of goods and services determined by markets. Thus, an important part of economics is the study of policies and activities for the generation and transfer of value within markets in the form of goods and service. That's pretty much basic.
What a naughty God.
Yeah, that's basic of economics. I've had previous podcasts where I did one with Wesley where we spoke about philosophy, and economics was also mentioned in it. And how everybody thinks that economics has got to do with budgets and profit and loss. Not really. It's basically, like I said, the theory of economics, explaining yourself how your economy works. I got a question for you. A lot of people can't answer it because they like to put technicalities to it, but it's quite simple. What is the economy? More importantly, who is the economy?
Well, I mean, what's the economy without the people?
100%, my man. You answered it first time correct. We are the economy. A lot of people can't answer this. We are the economy. People, we drive the economy by buying and selling and importing, exporting. We buy, but this is the cuck here. Here's the downfall to the economics. Economics collapse is any of broad range of bad economic conditions, ranging from a service of prolonged depression with high bankruptcy rates and high unemployment, such as the Great Depression in the 1930s, to a breakdown in normal ferments caused by hyperinflation, such as in Germany in the 1920s. But there's many. I mean, where else have we seen? But basically, I think it was in 1929 that Wall Street meltdown, eh?
Yeah, it was.
That caused big catastrophe, cuck. Or even economic caused sharp rise in the death rate and perhaps even a decline in population, such as countries of the former USSR in the 1990s. Often economics collapse is accompanied by social chaos, civil unrest, and breakdown of law and order. Now this is the part where I know the socialist out there is going to get upset with me when I say this, but I'm going to say it. If a socialist understood the definition of economics, then I think he or she would no longer wish to be a socialist. Do you agree on that?
Nah, I don't, because remember, for socialists, it's about centralizing power, not necessarily the economy is just an afterthought.
I hear you, but in everything that's going on with socialism, look at Venezuela and countries like that.
It's actually perfect for socialists because Maduro is still in power.
True, but then it becomes like a dictator.
And socialists don't mind.
Socialists don't mind. Okay, well.
Exactly.
Well, I do mind.
Of course. We all mind, but in the day, a socialist doesn't mind that a country turns into a shithole. And people starve and end up eating rabbits. Socialist doesn't mind because
he doesn't mind at all. Yeah. I agree with you though. He doesn't mind at all. Yeah. I think countries like Canada, they practice socialism.
I don't buy it completely.
Not 100%. You can't really call it 100% socialist, but it is a little bit. There is a little bit of socialism in the way they practice things there.
But now you see,
or maybe I'm paraphrasing her.
I think we must distinguish between socialism and social services.
Yeah.
Yeah, because of course Canada has a multitude of social services, but it still gives space to private enterprise.
It does, yeah. That's why I say it's not 100%. I have a buddy of mine that lives in Canada. His name is Gareth. We went to school together. We speak often from time to time, and he's a chef, so he owns his own restaurant. So already that tells you that it's impossible. It cannot be socialism. He owns a restaurant. It's his. He's an individual, yeah.
And the restaurant doesn't ration meals.
No, it doesn't. And he's quite happy. Yeah. I mean, he recently bought himself these 4 trucks, those huge trucks, like a F250. You know those F250s?
Oh yeah, the Ford.
Huge trucks. So he's doing quite well for himself.
A proper truck.
That's it, a proper truck. Eh? We still call it what, the 4x4 buck here in South Africa.
I mean, Australians have better buckies than us. I mean, that tells you everything.
Yeah, exactly. But dude, coming back to where I said the economic collapse, we read something on Facebook. I'm not going to mention the guy's name, but just quick. This is what he had to say with regards to the NHI, the National Health Insurance, what they want to implement. So let me read this breakdown quickly.
Before you read it, I must warn folks that it's a mouthful, so please bear with us. Carry on.
It is a mouthful, yeah, it is. Quite frightening, actually. With the announcement of the NHI, you can kiss your private healthcare and medical aids goodbye. Ready. If implemented, it will lead to the total collapse of healthcare sector within South Africa. In its current format, it forces doctors to give up their private practices and integrate with the NHI framework, which will mean longer hours and less pay. Already a big no-go. This will mean a lot of doctors will find other opportunities overseas, while those who stay will be completely overworked and underpaid, which will drastically reduce quality of healthcare provided and eventually lead to its collapse. In addition to the above, you will be forced to pay and use NHI, which will be funded by additional taxes. Private medical aids will only exist to pay for things that aren't covered by the NHI. This will mean that you will be forced to utilize NHI along with the rest of South Africa, which will mean no longer be able to see a doctor at your free will, but will rather be forced to use NHI and be put on the waiting list. Same will apply for the specialists. Expect it will be worse, as it already not easy to get an appointment with a specialist. If you wondered why private medical aid like Discovery is not fighting for your right to private healthcare, it is because they are so-called friends of this NHI, along with others like healthcare and or actively working with government to implement it, and are hesitating to sell their entire base to a bunch of incompetent idiots who cannot organize a piss up in a brewery. Okay, and the rest I'm not going to read. But yeah, I think the listeners got a listen there. What's your take on that, Bonga?
Yeah, I think our wise ministers just went over to the UK and basically plagiarized the NHS there.
Yeah. I don't know, eh? A lot of people, me and you, we listen to the Renegade Report. And you'll agree with me. We always said if Jonathan and Ramon are going to move, then we know it's time to...
We ain't shit, man.
We ain't shit. But it's not just companies like the NHR that's degrading South Africa. It's everything with it.
Exactly.
It's trade unions.
Remember now, Jason, that you asked me how many years I gave the NHI. And I was surprised. I was like, you're still counting years? I mean, I'm counting months or even weeks.
The reason why I asked you is, I don't know who was it on the group that we're on, the Renegade Report group. Somebody did say it will take years.
Nah.
Before we really...
Whoever that is Plum Loco.
Before we feel the pinch.
Man,
yeah, carry on.
You know, by next month, the USD, the US dollar and rand exchange will probably reach like $16.
Yeah.
By the end of the year, can even reach $20. So we ain't shit.
It is almost there. We in big shit though. Not to mention the pound and that. So
man, we're getting pounded.
For the oak that trades in the dollar, it's exports is good. Lekker for him. He's gonna smile all the way to bank. But oaks like me and you, we're not smiling, eh?
We're getting fucked.
We're getting fucked left, right, center.
Yeah, but if an oak is exporting to the USA or something, you mustn't get too excited because we might be hit with tariffs and so on.
Yeah, but you know what worries me is people that's on chronic medication.
Yeah.
There was already an article came out that the ARV tablets is already low in demand.
Not in demand, in supply, especially around Gauteng.
Yeah, it's low. It's low. The supply is very low. Yeah.
And that's not good.
That's not good at all, Chana. But what's gonna happen to those people that's on chronic meds? They're gonna leave us, which I think that's the plan. That's the plan of the NDR.
Yeah.
They want people to leave. Or speaking under correction, yeah.
Well, remember now that in any socialist state, there's always been an attempt to stop people leaving. So I'm not fully convinced about that.
It's going to be a whole ricochet train event. I mean, the first people to feel it is retail stores, shopping malls. And it's going to go down right down to the bottom to car guards that look after your cars in shopping malls. Everyone's going to feel the crunch.
Yeah, we're going to introduce Darwinism, survival of the fittest.
But dude, come on. Let's hear it from you. Socialism, can it really work?
Never.
It can never work, man. We're going to get crushed at you.
I mean, exactly. Because one of the things that the more clever and the more quick-witted socialists do is they look at the example of the People's Republic of China. And yes, it is run by the Communist Party of China, but the committee, the People's Central Committee, were wise enough back then, I think in '91, to actually try to have free markets.
Yeah.
But they didn't follow the example of the USSR. Because the Communist Party in China is still in charge there.
Bro, even Russia went through a big stage of what's the word I'm looking for? The depression, recession. Remember the recession period they had? They had a huge recession period. And sanctions. People were starving and shit. The states and other countries were sanctioning them heavy. And that's the first thing that's going to happen to us. When people start pulling out, we're going to get sanctioned too, eh?
Hey Jason, did you see Batabile Dlamini's tweet about Zimbabwe?
Mbiaki? Oh, what did he say there? No, I didn't see it.
No. I meant the former Minister of Social Services, Batabile Dlamini.
Oh no, sorry. Yeah, go ahead. What did he say?
Basically she lamented the state of Zimbabwe right now, saying that Zimbabwe is becoming an unfortunate or a sad story of a liberation movement.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and that's pretty much where we are headed as well.
Of course, yes. I mean, what you mentioned earlier back about China, that I mean, we got to also take into consideration the population. They're 1.3 billion strong.
Exactly.
So and I know China's GDP is booming. I mean, we all know, we've spoken about it in hundreds of podcasts, that China, everything you buy, when you look at the label, made in China.
Mm-hmm.
So I would like to know that percentage out of that 1.3 billion of the people that's actually living a good life. What do you think that percentage is out of 1.3 billion?
I think they would be firmly in the majority, because one of the things the Chinese Communist Party is facing is that it has to meet the demands of a growing middle class.
Of course, and that's so strange in the communist country, because in any communist country, the middle class is actually a threat.
Exactly.
They are a threat, yeah, and that's the same thing that I fear that's going to happen. Yeah, the middle class people, we're going to be a threat. So the middle class has to be eliminated.
But remember now, and this will feed on to our second topic, in China, the culture is such that they don't believe in a liberal democracy. They find it too chaotic. So the Communist Party will always be in charge.
Solutions, but it is solutions. What solutions? What solutions do you think we can take up here?
Well, quoting Ben Shapiro on this one, the biggest persuader or the biggest persuader if something is a bad idea is to actually try and enforce it. So I say the government must go ahead and enforce all those harebrained ideas and essentially become a shithole. Because there's no going back now, because there's a worldwide there is a trend towards what we call populism. So people must eat cake, yeah.
Maize meal. If we say an ace, there's going to be a huge supply of that.
All rats.
All rats. Oh, that's a delicacy. Oh no, come on, dude. Rats, I know. But they put it on sticks, like rotisserie style. Have you seen that?
And rabbits.
Oh, dude, I don't know. Yeah.
Because look, I had my own instance or moment where I was hopeful, I even joined the ANC Youth League.
Yeah.
And I firmly believed in the Peter Bruce doctrine of giving Ramaphosa a bigger mandate. Now I'm regretting I'm regretting all of that now.
Yeah.
Like, what the fuck was I thinking?
Especially after we heard the frog in the hot water theory, eh?
Exactly.
But
I'm already boiled.
I think we all are boiling. Yeah, we're prepared to jump out of that pot now, eh?
At least if you're able to jump now, seriously.
Dude,
otherwise you're gonna get fucked.
Dude, I've got nowhere to jump, eh? I've got no capital in the bank account. Where am I going? I'm going nowhere. So
well, there is hope. I mean, you look at Europe right now and Florida. I mean, we can always make or build a makeshift boat and sail our way up to Florida or Europe.
Dude, no. We need to build our own Volksstaat. Okay, but it's just not gonna be the same as a Volksstaat. This is gonna be I don't know if you listened to the previous podcast I had with Christoph Russell Impiaki. We're gonna build a little Mizentani, buy some land, get some investors involved, start expanding. That can work.
Until you get the government boots on your face.
No, it's like Scott also said, you buy a piece of land for 5 million and you build it up. And then what happens when this EWC gets amended? The Constitution.
And those land invaders and so on.
And then your land that was originally 5 million becomes now 1 billion. And then all of a sudden they come in and they say, hey, I said, man, hey, Futa, when attack, hey, this land is now ours. We're going to take it now. But that's not going to stop us. I mean, we've got people like Gosa with can help us with guns. We're just going to get guns and we will protect our property. Hey, we're gonna protect our property. That's not going to stop us.
So you see that my idea, although it's quite dangerous, it actually has more logic to it. You can just build a boat, sail up to Australia or something, and claim asylum.
Build a boat. I hear you, but you know how many days you're going to be on the sea, eh? I mean, shark meat.
Apparently, shark meat is able to sustain a person, but I don't know how often you'll be able to get shark meat.
But this thing's happening. I mean, look at other countries like Sudan, Mozambique, further, especially the countries on the coast up Africa, and they're trying to go to Europe.
I mean, those guys are jumping some really high fences. Have you seen the picture of that territory in Morocco?
Lawrence Southern made a documentary on it.
Man, those guys are jumping some high fences, man.
They
Like
are.
I thought like a typical suburban fence here in South Africa was high, but those fences there are too high, man. But Oaks can make it.
Yeah, but not only that, those poor people, you know, they collecting $2,000 just to get a boat ride, and then a lot of them don't get there, they die, and then a lot of them also go into human trafficking. They get sold for human trafficking. You know, it's terrible, Chana. It really is. It's appalling.
And the most terrible thing is that the ones that get trafficked, the Oaks, who get trafficked into Muslim countries, they actually end up being castrated.
Exactly. Eh? It's not a life. Eh? And once they're that side, I mean, you got to watch that documentary from Lawrence Southern. They make up these camps. They build tents up for them, you know, like immigration. And then the crime all of a sudden escalates in those areas. Big time.
Of course it will. Of course it will.
Big time. I feel sorry for them, really. Yeah.
Just to deviate a bit, I also wanted to mention that there is a tendency that I find disturbing among socialists and libertarians that views human beings as being economic units, you know.
Yeah, as economic units, 100%. I'm with you there.
Because that's how they end up justifying things like open borders, which I find terrible, because as much as there is an economic benefit of having immigrants into a country, there's also the social aspects of it.
You know, I was thinking there was a movie that I watched recently on Netflix. It was a movie with Chris Evans called Red Sea Diving, some diving place. And they say it's based on true events. I don't know if it was a true story. Maybe the events, because after the movie they showed, you know, footage of what happened in this movie. British people, or soldiers, they would come to this country. I forgot the name of the country, but I'll share the link. And then they took people out of the country to Jerusalem or somewhere in Europe, you know. But the conditions, you know, and the rebel troops that was involved there in this country, that were hunting these people down and killing them.
Yeah.
To the listeners out there, you got to watch the movie. I will share the link in my description. That movie is a real eye opener, big time eye opener. Anyway, should we go to the next topic?
Yeah, let's get ready to rumble.
Yeah. People are already on Facebook. They say me, Jason, are you sure you want to go into that topic, race versus IQ versus race?
Yeah.
Controversial, huge controversial.
And I simply don't know why.
Look, I've spoken to.
That's changed. Because remember, in the USSR, for example, because they had free education in their system, the most obvious way of going about things was to use IQ to give opportunities to deserving people.
Yeah,
I mean to deserving candidates, and that's how your children of peasants and so on got opportunities.
Yeah,
you know. Because remember, IQ is also independent of socio-economic status or financial status.
That's right, yeah. But I blame Uncle Charles Darwin for this. He was the one that came up with this natural selection, and I've got it quickly. Yeah? Natural selection is the differential survival and reproduction of individuals due to the difference in phenotype. It is the key mechanism of evolution, the change in the heritable traits, characteristics of population over generations. Now that in itself has led now, as time goes by, to people implementing IQ tests and for what? Isn't it? It's discrimination, isn't it?
Well, yeah, it is. It is. If you look at the dictionary definition of it, but discrimination itself isn't always bad. You know, I mean, Jason, would you like to have a bus driver who can't see?
I know fully. I agree with you fully. You won't climb in that bus.
Exactly.
But in
Exactly.
layman terms, how can we describe to the listeners out there why race versus IQ has now become such a controversial topic?
Well, we have to look at the emergence of the actual alt-right. The alt-right, the actual alt-right.
Mm-hmm.
And essentially, if you look at the proponents of the actual alt-right, for example, Richard Spencer
Mm-hmm.
and David Taylor, I haven't got his first name right, but his last name is Taylor. They brought up the issue of race versus IQ, which can be observed even in America. They call them SAT test,
Yes.
where if you want a university admission, you write a test, and the selectors will tally or measure how fit you are or how suitable you are for university entrance.
Hundreds.
And it does correlate because you have Asians at the top, and somewhere down there you have Africans or African Americans at the bottom.
Mm-hmm. But now let's not forget, this is now Western culture that we're talking about, isn't it? It's not Africanized. You get what I'm saying? Or am I speaking out of correction?
Yeah, that's true. But at the same time, you have to consider that all candidates are competing for that space,
Mm.
And we have to give credit to Western culture for giving us innovation and the developments that we enjoy right now.
Yeah. I've spoken about this previous times in my podcasts. Everything starts at home.
That's true.
It's not just education. It's discipline and morals and ethics that leads up to education. Because if you, as a a child, a teenager, cannot have that self-discipline, how can you have that discipline to learn yourself to study, to teach yourself to study? Look, I'm busy doing economics now. I need to open the books. I need to learn because I need to pass. I need to get my matric so that I can go to college, so I can get accepted in college. Like you just mentioned, the SATs in America. The same thing here.
The
SATs. If we don't have good matric results, then how can a college accept us?
And also not just the SAT, but what they call the GPA. I'm not sure what the abbreviation stands for, but essentially that's your score throughout your tuition.
Yeah.
It correlates also with IQ and race as well.
Mm-hmm.
So you have, again, Asians at the top. That's why there's so many Asians in Silicon Valley, for example.
Yeah. What's the IQ? The IQ is like 106, Or the average IQ.
Yeah. I think at least I stand a chance. Mine is 105.
I did a IQ test and mine was 101, but I don't know. I don't know if it's true. I mean, there's so many things. You even got your political compass scores that you can do to see how far right and left you are.
But that compass is bullshit, man.
It's bullshit, yo. But it's the same.
But the thing with IQ is that it has withstood the test of time, really.
Yeah. Well, it's basic stuff, an IQ test.
Yeah, because another misnomer that's been going around for, I think, over 30 years is that we are all the same, which is impossible.
There we go, my put. I know a lot of people don't agree with it, that we're not all the same, but we are, and we can all be the same. And like I said, because it starts at home.
No, you misunderstood me, Jason. I said an impossibility is that you're all the same. We can't be the same. The best thing we can do now, if at an individual level, is to harness your strength and to build up on your weaknesses.
Yeah, true. But that all comes through education. Because if you can't educate yourself, you can't figure that for yourself. Like logic.
That's true.
To develop that logic part that's in your brain, that I need to do this and I need to do that, and this is wrong and this is right, and if I study this, you with me what I'm saying?
Yeah, of course. So basically, each person has, if you use Maslow's hierarchy, we all have to reach self-actualization. But that takes a while. But I'm not sure if it will be possible in the future because there's just so much hate on Western culture. You know, when I was on campus, there was this insistence on separating Western modernity, that's your technology and so on, and Western culture. And I was like, how can you separate the two? Because without the culture, you can't have the modernity.
Yeah, true. That's the part that we're all worried about, yeah. If decolonization takes part,
we are fucked.
We are fucked. Just as well, we can start slaughtering animals and wear animal skins.
Or build a boat, like I said.
Or build a boat. But can we come to a conclusion that IQ thing and this versus race thing, it's a bunch of bullshit, man?
Not necessarily, but the way it's been interpreted, it can be a bunch of bullshit.
It is bullshit because people out there get really offended about it.
So what?
Yeah, well, it is a touchy subject. I mean,
come on,
yeah,
man,
okay,
come
no,
on. Jason,
okay,
I can't believe you, bro.
No. Hear me out when I say cognitive your cognitive dissonance.
Yeah.
It's in us all. It's in us all. And if you don't understand how your cognitive dissonance works, then you're gonna get angry the whole time because you're gonna be challenged. Your belief system, the way you were brought up, is gonna be challenged the whole time. And this is where the hate and everything that's coming out. Because let's be honest, Jay, people don't like to be told. I mean, if you've been told that you can't do the job and that, you know, that's what I'm trying to get down to. People get offended because of your indoctrination, the way you were brought up, and that. So yeah, man. You feeling me?
I feel you. That's why I don't like this world of the current world we're living in right now, where it's all about passions, you know. It's all about opportunities.
Yeah. All about opportunities, my put.
Exactly. I mean, the best advice I gave to this kid who was struggling to get his matric, I just told him to pursue other opportunities, really, because you can't delay living life for a piece of paper, you know.
No, you can't.
Exactly.
So are we closed on this topic?
Yeah,
we closed. We don't want to say anything more just now. More people get offended with us. Just kidding. I hope I didn't say anything wrong that could offend people. Do you think I'd said anything wrong? What the? Eh?
I think you are sensible. I'm more worried about myself. Like, I hope I didn't drop so many bombshells.
I don't think so. I don't think we stood on any eggshells. No, we didn't.
Yeah.
I'm just kidding, man. All right, guns, dude. Guns.
Second Amendment.
Hey, dude. Yes. This last incident that happened in Texas, eh?
Yeah.
When people went into his account, his Twitter account, and they found what his account promoting. Bernie Sanders, Elizabeth Warren, leftism.
An Antifa punk, basically.
Socialism, Satan. Eh? And then Trump has to come out and say kids are going that way because they're playing video games.
Look, I think there is some truth in what Trump is saying, is that the kids are no longer being supervised because you have both parents working now.
Yeah.
So kids are off to their own devices, you know.
Look, if you were conservative, I would understand. Or you were progressive, or like there's so many anti-progressives out there that are against technology. I mean, Germ did a podcast yesterday.
Yeah.
What was supposed to be with Gideon? Ruan, I think it was with Ruan. And then they spoke a bit about, you know, back in the 80s, like songs like Brick on the Wall from Pink Floyd was banned from this country. But many things was banned from this country back in the 80s, you know? It's like when you tell a child you can't do this, because if you go out there, you're going to start drinking or you're going to take drugs. The discipline plays a big key role here. How far can you push your child before he starts doing things behind your back?
Well, that's a big question, but to give an answer, I must give a proper context to this answer I'm going to give right now. Are you familiar with Jordan Peterson?
Yes, yeah, I've watched some of his podcast. Yeah, very
I
brilliant
think
mind.
I think that guy is doing God's work because he's appealing to is appealing to the kind of people who will do mass shootings. These are mostly your ostracized and often misunderstood males, not necessarily white males in general, but just males.
Just males, yeah.
And one of the things that I've come to realize is that our oaks are hurting. And so when oaks start hurting, it really is bad because they end up wanting to hurt the world as a form of venting out. So as a parent, if you push your child, it depends how you push them. I won't say it's really bad or good. It just depends on how you do it. Like in the day, it goes back to my point I made in the second topic where I said, end of the day, at an individual level, each person must realize their strengths and weaknesses. So partaking in different activities can help with that, I guess.
And like was mentioned yesterday, and I've said it also in previous podcasts, it all depends on how much love the child gets, the abuse, because there's a lot of kids out there, and I'm not just talking all over the world. The abuse is heavy.
Yeah.
So that plays with your mindset as you grow up. You become a very hateful person, and then if you get politically involved, and even like with this Texas shooting, what happens? You get easily influenced. You get easily influenced on what the current political correctness that they're trying to put out there, and then you go mad. You go mad. You take a gun and you start shooting, which is wrong. But
also, what makes those kids more vulnerable is that if you look at the American system, there's been an emphasis on removing hierarchy systems that your different activities like sports and activities as well.
Absolutely, so my man, 100%.
So now you have these kids, who seemingly aren't talented. They're obviously gonna get picked on and so on. And so the best way to and the best way they think, the best way those kids think of making up for that is to go down guns blazing.
Guns down blazing, 100%. Where was I now? Yeah, I lost my train of thought now. But yeah, okay. So now they're saying give the guns back, and this has been a thing now for many years.
Back to who?
Well, give it back to the government.
Fuck no.
Fuck no. Of course not, yeah. Because now the criminal out there, and we've seen it happen. Now the criminal out there knows now that everybody's giving the guns back. I'm gonna go to the black market, buy guns, and I can go to this guy because now I know he doesn't have a gun.
You see?
Yeah.
Because in the day, the one advice that I have given on this topic of guns and self-defense is that although it doesn't guarantee anything really, what you end up guaranteeing is that you will be a hard target, and the criminal will just go to someone, so you will probably go to a softer target.
Yeah, that's it. They'll just go to a softer target. But if the criminals know that everybody's got guns and they're taking up self-defense classes, dude, I think they're going to back off.
Yeah, unless the rewards are insanely high.
Yeah, true. But
like if you walk around with like $1 million on you, of course criminals will try their luck.
That's the thing, yeah. These criminals, they know exactly. They will park in front of a business. They will know it's long weekend. Like now, for example, it's long weekend, okay? So you can't go to the bank now, today. Okay, maybe tomorrow you can. But there's other times where it's long weekend. You can't get to the bank. So then the guy knows, okay, cool. This business owner is going to come out with a couple of 100,000. I'm going to wait for him. I'm going to wait for him till he goes out. Follow him to the bank. Boom. Take the money. But if you had a gun on you, hey?
And a plan.
Hey, you got your money. You still got your money.
Exactly. And you got your life, most importantly, because there's also...
Most importantly, yeah.
There's also another misnomer that, if you just cooperate, if you just play nice and play along, you might not get killed or injured. It doesn't work that way.
Yeah, no, of course. But it's the same with your houses that you live in, eh? If you build a house with a high wall and you put electric fence on and you put cameras, that to me
put beams.
Is advertising, bro. You're advertising. That's like free advertising. So when a criminal walks past the house and he says, hey, Mufetu, ow, look at this house. Big high wall, cameras, electric fence. Let's rob this house tonight. Are you with me on that one?
Yeah, I got you. So you prefer passive security systems?
No, dude, I've got no security system in my house. Yeah, okay, fair enough. I got an electric fence now, but in the previous houses that I've lived in, because I rent, I've never had electric fence. And the last house I lived in had a low wall.
Mm-hmm.
No one came into my house. No one broke into my house because I'm not advertising to the people out there that I've got something to protect.
That's true. But it depends. Because remember now, there are two types of threats that one can face in a house. That is mainly your theft and your robbery. So maybe the high walls and the cameras and so on will prevent theft.
It doesn't.
It doesn't.
Statistics show house break-ins is those houses that's got high walls, electric fence, and cameras. Those are the houses that get broken into them. And
but,
you can quote to me. You can do your research on it. I mean, to the listeners out there, they can quote to me and back me up if I'm wrong.
No, I'm not denying your statement there, but at the same time, robberies. I mean, house robbers don't give a fuck. I hope, Jason, you do know the difference between robbery and theft.
Yeah, true. Okay, but we're talking about having guns and self-defense and protecting your property as such,
and your life,
and your life as such. But
yeah,
when you take out insurance policy, insurance companies actually, they demand it from you. You need to have this type of security in place, otherwise they won't cover you.
Yeah, sir. I didn't know that.
Yeah, true. I mean, if you don't have in your car, for example, if you don't have a proper alarm system in your car,
or a tracker system,
they're not going to cover you because of the high crime rate in this country. So you got to have these implementations in place to try and curb it. But if you ask me, I don't know. I don't see it much helping. Tracking systems are easy to disable. Very easy.
Yeah, I mean, I've seen many stories or posts on my timeline of cars found stripped.
Yeah, exactly. Stripped completely. So, hey, it worries me, man. Guns. We can't lose our guns, eh?
Yeah, we can't, because there's also another misnomer that the government has a duty to protect you. It doesn't.
No, it doesn't.
And it can't.
Yeah, so again, what's the solution there? How do we curb this one?
Arm yourself, prepare yourself mentally.
Yeah.
And be on the lookout, most importantly. Just be on the lookout.
Dude, you don't have to tell me about that. I'm so paranoid as it is. When I reverse out of my yard, I look left and right there.
I hardly reverse. I always go up front.
But I'm sure you do. You look left and right to check who's not sitting on the pavement there.
Oh yeah. Before, yeah. Just to see who's loitering.
Got to do it. But there's lots of people that don't do it. They just drive.
Yeah, essentially you have to treat your house like it's a fort or a garrison.
Yeah, true. Anyway, anything else that you want to add to that?
No. Other than that, the Second Amendment means a lot to me.
Yeah.
because that's how I started out, having a hobby of firearms,
Yeah, exactly. Thank goodness we got guys out there like Gideon Joubert and Gosa, Guns of South Africa. We need guys like that, eh?
It's a good thing that
Hey, they
you're
fighting
keeping a
our
plug
rights, eh?
in, man. Especially Paul Oxley and the legal team, of course, Team Flag.
Yeah, hey, bigger shout out to them, man. We need them, man. We need them badly.
Otherwise, all hope would have been lost.
Hey, exactly, man. Anyway, my dude, are we gonna? I don't want to take up too much of your time, man. You got anything else planned today?
Nah, you can carry on. You can carry on.
Because I'm gonna go to a bar now. Got some beers in the fridge and a lekker stick vlees. I'm gonna put a meat on the barbecue now, bro.
Away.
All right, listen, don't go. I want to do my closing. Bonga, absolute pleasure, Chana. Thank you for joining me. My podcast is available on Pocket Cast, Spotify, Google Podcast, Apple Podcast. This is broadcast on Anchor FM. I will also be doing this and put the link on YouTube. Thank you very much, guys, and I'll see you next time. Take it easy, guys. Keep the faith.